When it comes to your home and the subject of indoor air quality, a person can easily become confused when trying to understand all of the things that affect the level, type, and location of contamination that may exist in your home. This video will focus on building sciences and how they influence contamination, specifically mold contamination.
Mold has certainly had its share of media attention.
And mold has been a talking point with extreme views, some good, some bad, and some in between. For the most part, however, it is widely accepted that any abnormal or elevated amount or exposures to mold contamination can create adverse health conditions. It can also damage your home and personal items. And this will be the focus of our concern right now. In our example, we have a bedroom with a mold issue at the window. When mold contamination grows, it typically creates mold spores. Pieces of the actual mold and the mold spores will easily become airborne and distribute throughout the local environment. Over time, the mold that was originally concentrated in one contaminated area can spread to uncontaminated areas. Diffusion, then, defines the natural way of all things to constantly seek equilibrium or balance with its surrounding environment. In seeking out equilibrium, mold will eventually become close to being equally distributed throughout the local environment. One of the ways airflow is created in the home is by the use of air conditioning systems. When the air conditioning system kicks on, the conditioned air will move the mold particulates around the room. The particles will move from a higher pressure created by the AC towards lower pressure areas. Different air pressures that exist inside and outside a room creates natural currents called convection currents. This building science is created when other inside and outside influences create areas of higher or lower pressures in the air. Take, for example, a typical summer day in Arizona. The outside temperature is about 1 billion degrees, while indoors your home is typically between 70 and 80 degrees. Hot air creates higher pressure, and cold air creates low pressure. Higher pressure always moves towards areas of lower pressure. Remember the idea of all things trying to reach an area of equilibrium? Convection currents seek out the same thing, equilibrium. It can also be said that its effect is similar to that created by your air conditioning system, although usually not as dramatic or significant. Centrifugal force, another building science, defines effects of inertia that arise in connection with rotation and which are experienced as an outward force away from the center of rotation. The result of this effect causes the mold particles to typically head away from its center until it has reached equilibrium with surrounding areas or has hit a wall and deposited on the surface. And even though these tiny mold structures are very small and virtually weightless, gravity will eventually play a part in causing them to fall towards the ground. This process is another building science called particle deposition. What about human influence on mold contamination? Another building science is called particle resuspension and can occur when a person walks into the room, kicking up particles from the floor and sending them back into the air. The always moving air currents pick these contaminants up that seek equilibrium in the local space. Vacuuming the room will also create this effect. Now we've seen, one at a time, all 6 building sciences and their individual effect on mold contamination. In the real world, all 6 of these are simultaneous, spreading particles throughout the room and eventually into the rest of your home. It is in understanding these building sciences and knowing how and where to test that makes environmental analytics your trusted and comprehensive indoor air quality friend.